Hello, my name is Alan Wright. If I had a time machine and you were able to be present at one of the miracles of Jesus, I wonder what miracle that would be. The raising of Lazarus, 4 friends of the paralytic, the turning of the water into wine. Yet in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, there's a very short verse. There's a miracle that all 3 of these gospel writers remember and include in the gospel. And it takes place very early on in Mark's gospel at the very end, and it's just a couple verses. And it says that upon leaving the synagogue, he, Jesus, entered the home of Peter and Andrew and James and John, and Peter's mother-in-law lay sick with a fever. They told Jesus about her. He approached, reached out his hand, and healed her. And she got up and began to serve. I'm thinking, why did those gospel writers remember this very small miracle 40 years after it took place? Jesus doesn't even say anything. This woman doesn't say anything. And yet it made the Gospels. Perhaps it's the movement of the early church. As the early church left the synagogue, sometimes they were expelled, they entered into the house, and Jesus was invited in. And there was a problem, but it wasn't a life and death problem. It was a nameless mother-in-law who had a common fever. And yet, without a word, Jesus extends his touch and raises her up. And while this woman is a woman without words, she's not without witness. For it says that she waited on them. For you and I who have encountered Christ in our lives, is this our story too? That we who have encountered the love of God, that we desire to give back, to serve others. And so sometimes it can be with our words, other times without a word. So again, these stories in the Gospels, even though they're very small, they can be filled with meaning, that we can make a difference even without saying a word.